Hello everyone and welcome to Weavy. I am Ayush Jain, the developer advocate over here. And today in this video, we are going to talk about how to add email notification service into your local Weavy instance. So right now on the screen, you can see I have my local instance of Weavy up and running. And now if you want to add email notifications, which is actually a daemon process. So now what you can do is you can click on this start, and over here you can go to the manage, or you can directly actually call this URL and land over here. You can see this is the place where you can manage your Weavy backend and your entire Weavy service. So over here, if you look at the daemons, which is actually a schedule and run background jobs. So these jobs are actually running in the background and they run periodically to collect and update or do any kind of process that they are assigned for. So one process over here is one daemon job is you can see as you can see is the email notifications. So the job of email notifications is to actually notify the user about the recent or new activity that has been taken place in the absence of the user, and they will be notified about those events using this email. And as you can see that this email notification job is currently in red, and when you will launch your local Weavy instance and you will come to this page, then you will have this in red because you have to configure some settings in order to make this up and running. So now as you can see it is scheduled to run for after every 15 minutes. So let us say that I was online, right, on this particular VV Messenger app, let's say for example, and then I went offline for some reason, and in the and someone messaged me in my absence, or there was a VV's group, and some message came or inside that group. So for handling such kind of things, what VV does is it will notify the user about the activities that takes place in the absence of the user, and every 15 minutes this job will run, and you can actually change this out. So if I click on this email notifications, you can actually see over here in the screen that you can choose to actually schedule this as per your convenience. You can actually define it to be a periodic service which runs every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or you can define a static time that okay, daily at this particular time it will run. All right, so you can do things, you can change this as per your convenience. Also, if you look over here that if you will run this what for the very first time, you will see this settings that your SMTP settings have not been configured. So by that it means that you have not yet provided them the credentials of your mail server which you use, which your company uses to do this email notification task. So today what we are going to do is we're going to look at how to provide these SMTP settings inside your VV code to actually get this up and running. So for this, we are going to use SendGrid as an example. And if you will go to the developer portal, then you will find out this article which actually describes in detail about the entire process. So if you go to integrations, we will find out using SendGrid to send email notifications. And inside this article, just kidding, yeah. So inside this article, I have explained in detail about what are the steps, how does the email notification looks like, what are the steps that you need to take at the SendGrid end, and then what are the steps that are required from the VV, that are required to be done, steps changes that needs to be done inside the VV code, and then that we are good to go. So what we are going to do now is I will actually skip this SendGrid account setting up because this you need to do at the SendGrid portal. But I will actually give you some clue about what SendGrid account is. So you can actually sign up for a SendGrid account, and then you will have to create an API key, and there are certain permissions that they ask every time you try to create an API key. So what you do is you can actually create multiple API keys inside the SendGrid account, and you can allot a specific, you can create a specific API just to handle the email notifications part from the Weavy, for the Weavy. So you will create a separate Weavy API key and provide them the suitable access. For us, you can actually provide and all the access. So or you can provide the bare minimum access which SMTP server needs, that is to send the mail notifications and to send out the mails. And then the next thing would be that if you want to use the business or company mail ID of your particular company, so let us say that you have @xyz.com domain, and if you want to use that, then you have to actually verify your sender identity. So that is the third step, that you have to verify your sender identity. For that, you will need to do certain changes at the SendGrid end, and then they will be able to verify whether you are a whether your SendGrid account genuinely connects to that particular domain or business that you are actually aiming to connect to. All right, so after you complete all these three steps in the SendGrid, you will be able to actually use the SMTP server to start the email notifications. And what I am going to do is, once you actually create an API key at the SendGrid, in the SendGrid, you will be given this API key which you have to store in a safe place, because the SendGrid only shows you the API key once and you have to store it somewhere. So make sure that when you are going to create an API key for the SendGrid account, you actually store the API key credentials somewhere, okay? Because they are going to be needed next. Now, inside the Weavy, what all changes do we need to make? Okay, so inside the Weavy, actually, you have a couple of things. So the first important thing that you need to note is, what is the SMTP from? So this SMTP from is actually the email ID or the business domain that you want the emails to be sent from. So it can be, for me, ayush@weavy.com. That can be one email address. You can specify multiple email addresses. All right. And next, you can specify any email address of your choice. The next is the SMTP password. So in the SMTP password, you actually provide the SendGrid API key, the API key which you have allotted for this particular process inside the SendGrid. The SMTP port. So we're going to talk about port in a bit. First of all, let's skip that for now. And SMTP server. So SMTP server is actually the server that the SendGrid will use to transfer the mail or to send out the mails. And then the username should be this API key. Now this API key is a hard-coded string API key itself. You don't have to change anything over here. So let us say how these settings will look like. So there is a configuration file inside the Weavy solution that we have provided, and the file name is web.config. And if you will open up, you will actually find out that inside the Weavy solution, so this is the Visual Studio, and this is the place from where you start your Weavy local instance. And over here in the left hand side, you can see there is a solution Weavy. Now if you're not able to see this, what I will do is, you can actually go to the view, and view actually allows you to select what all things you need to show. So you can go and click on Solution Explorer, and you will end up with this Solution Explorer on the left hand side. Now inside the Solution Explorer, you can go to the web.config file. So this is the web.config file, and this file actually allows you to do all the configuration settings that you need to do in order to customize your application. So, okay, so you might find out various combinations, or sorry, various configuration settings over here, but the general practice is to actually create a separate file called as settings. You can call it settings.config, and keep all these settings over there in that file. And if you want to later on deploy this solution somewhere, you can refer to the settings inside this file. And for now, what we're going to do is, I have commented this out and I am going to add few things over here. So these things would be, so basically actually, yeah, so this is the place wherein you have to do the changes. and you have to do nothing. You just have to add this line of code over here. So what this line of code does is you have to specify your mail ID. This is as it is. The port we will talk in a bit, and this is as it is. And over here will be your SendGrid API key. That's it. And then you are good to go. So now let us talk about the port and how to specify which port you want to use. So SendGrid actually allows if you wanted an unencrypted connection or if you want a TLS connection, you will use this port. Okay. And if you want an SSL connection, okay, then you will be using this particular port, which is the port number 465. So you can see that I am currently not going for a encrypted SSL connection, but if you have the SSL certificates, you should actually use the SSL connection, and in prod most probably you will be using the SSL connection. All right, so currently, as you can see, I have used the port number 25, which is actually, this is taken from the docs of SendGrid itself. So port number 25 is where SendGrid will actually listen for unencrypted uh, connections. Okay, so this is all you need to do. Okay, so for example, once you make these particular changes, once you paste all these things over here, you just need to save and rebuild your code and then start your backend application again, and it will run. Okay, so now once it is so basically I have my changes over here. What I will do is I will quickly copy these changes, paste it over here, and now I will rebuild my solution. Okay, so you can see rebuild is started and it's successful, and now I will start my solution again. And now this particular red which you were actually watching out, this should go away, and you should actually start sending, you will be able to send the email notifications. So the first time it boots up, it takes a bit of time to load all the configuration and make the entire solution, but later on it will run smoothly. Okay, so by the time, okay, so now if I go to the manage, before actually going to the daemons and looking at this, I can have a test run over here to make sure that the connections have been done without any errors. So you go to the tools and you can see over here email test. So this is to actually verify that the email configuration has been set successfully or not, and you can run this email test. And once you run this email test, you will get this log message that okay, the email test has been succeeded. Yeah, email test succeeded, and see the log for details. So this is the log. Okay, so now once you do that, the email ID with which you have registered on this particular Weavy, your Weavy solution, you will get an email over there. So for me, if I open up my mail ID now, I will be actually able to see a test message from Weavy, something like this. Okay, so this is the test message, and you will be able to get this from your particular domain of interest. Okay, so this is how it works. And the last thing would be to actually go back to the daemons and check for the mail notification. So since it's going to run every 15 minutes, so in next run is after 6 minutes, but you can actually go and run this task right now, and as you can see, the task has a log now that it is succeeded a few seconds ago. Okay, so this was all about starting your email notification service, so that now this service has been started, so all your users will be actually getting the email notifications. Everything is taken care by the Weavy, and you just have to specify the credentials of your SMTP server. And if you want to read in more detail about so there can be other parameters as well. For example, if you want to have your SSL certification, what you just need to specify the key that your SMTP SSL is set to true. And what if you want to go and have a uh, if you want to look more into this, you can actually go to the server SDK, and inside that you can look at the configurations that we have for you, and you can choose whatever configuration you have. So if you go over here, these are the settings for which are related to the email. So we have covered this, we have covered this, we have covered this, we have covered this, we have covered this. We have not covered these two things, right? So the first thing over here is that the SMTP SSL. So if you will set it to true, then it will be using the SSL connections to encrypt with the SMTP server. And if you will be using the SMTP default credentials, then it will actually ignore the username and password which is going with this particular every SMTP request. But for us, we don't want this. We want our SendGrid to let us know to actually use the username and password which we have created. So I have skipped this one, and the SMTP SSL can be used if required. Okay, so this was all about this video. I hope you guys now know how to actually integrate this email notification daemon process inside your local Weavy instance and subscribe to the emails. And yeah, so we'll see you in the next video. Till then, keep using Weavy, and goodbye.